Hey, oh, no. I'm sorry, Q's a good kid. He's just excited. Tell him why, Q. Because we're about to show you how to hydrate heroes, violate villains, and become one of the greatest Marvel rival players ever. Using Jeff, grooviest character choice. Good job. He's an incredible single target healer, but if you don't want to suffer like I did, you're going to be doing a lot of what I call collateral healing. This is Luna Snow, and unlike Jeff, she is not a fish and does not talk. Go ahead. She has an Ice Arts power-up, which activates an alternative fire mode, allowing her to pierce with her heals.
And my standard stream, without any power-up, also allows me to heal multiple allies at once.
Collaterally!
So ideal healing positions will include your targets being lined up, so your spray reaches through each of them, increasing your healing per second proportionally. Even through the heat of battle, you can tell when you're landing these collateral heals from that sweet audio feedback. The healing sounds stack, and this is that spot where it gets real wet. You hear this? This is the G spot. Be here as often as possible, and you can be here from incredibly far away due to this little guy's healing range, which is pragmatically infinite.
Do it normal, or no one's gonna watch.
I just thought...
Thinking hasn't gotten you far, Cotton Ball. Read the line.
If you're aware of your range, you can hook that IV up from downtown, which is sometimes the safest place to heal from. When your front line is getting pushed or surrounded, you can heal while pulling back. And when it's time to move up, you can continue spraying while closing the gap. The range is so long that if your trajectory is good, you can actually send a stream from right here on
Yig's Garage.
Thank you. And hit your target all the way on coagulation. Go ahead. Eventually, Jeff will need to reload, and that's a good time to utilize his secondary healing method, bubbles. These give a good burst of health, but they need to land before gaining their own hitbox. So unless your target is stagnant, spitting them directly at a teammate doesn't usually work well. Instead, spit these out where the main clash is likely to take place, around cover and at choke points, which will allow your bubbles to passively heal while you focus on your primary target with your stream. But it's important not to waste all of your bubbles on these losers, because your main tool for survivability is sucking your own bubbles, in tandem with your special movement. Jeff can submerge into a climbing mode of movement relatively similar to the Spider-Man of this game. This grants an overall speed boost and allows you to find opportune angles. Whenever you're not actively healing, you should be in this mode where your hitbox is minimized and your survivability is maximized. It's not just for prolonged stretches of running away. It's also for small repositionings, repositioning for better heals, and repositioning to lose enemy focus. When you get hit, you should immediately submerge and readjust, even if only a little, to try and remove any aggro. This game is so fast-paced that breaking line of sight for just a moment provides an opportunity for the enemy's stack of priorities to rearrange, putting you back safely at the bottom of their to-kill list. But any good team is going to be diving healers, and you'll often be a direct and clear target as Jeff. Sometimes this is your fault and a result of bad positioning, but it's inevitable. So when you make eye contact with the tank and they start barreling towards you, leaving a trail of knuckle blood and slobber in their wake, eating your bubbles on the go is how to survive. Serpentine around obstacles to break line of sight. Move from cover to cover in unpredictable but efficient ways, and feed yourself when you have the opportunity to. You're not going to kill your enemy by exhausting them, but you don't have to. You just have to buy enough time for them to lose interest or for your team to save you. Don't think of this movement as linear or only for retreating directly away from your assailant. Countering dives will often include moving closer to the fray and disallowing an isolated kill. Move up and bring your team's attention to the fact that one of the tanks is currently hitting you over the head with a hammer, and the other is trying to stick their tongue down your throat. It is possible to outmaneuver and outplay a DPS enemy to finesse a self-defense kill, but this is a case-by-case gamble, because Jeff lacks true defensive crowd control, like Ice Girl's Freeze or Mantis's Nightmare. As far as pinching, your game awareness will show you when you can pepper some shots into the mess at the front line, or when there's a one-tap enemy you could take out at a low cost. If there's blood in the water, take your shot. But unlike healers who use the same projectile for damaging and healing, or Mantis who resets her cooldowns from headshots, there isn't much incentive for Jeff to switch their focus from healing to firing. Jeff does have a team-up ability that makes his projectiles deal extra damage while also leaving a slowing ice AoE. But the part of Jeff's kit that transforms him into a true cold-blooded killer requires more.
And in the ideal scenario, Jeff's ultimate ability can be looked at in 4 phases. Roll the clip now!
The first phase is stalking. This is the planning phase. Go underground to remain hidden while finding a vantage point where you can get a feel for where the concentration of enemies is. From this spot, you will enter the next phase, submerging. Place your zone directly under your food as you enter phase 3, breaching.
This is a superhero mukbang at this point. We only have 6 seconds, but really try and savor the notes and tones of this flavor combination. Hey, Jeff. I guess our diet starts next week. You can't hear me. We're taking fire as we enter the final phase, displacement.
This is it. This is what you train for. This is the single most intimate experience in any video game. You've seen more failed Jeff ults than successful ones, but that's part of what makes a good execution so beautiful, like this tasty 4-piece right here. A lot of the time, the ult really is just to disrupt and displace, like in an OT situation where you can remove the tank or whoever you can from the objective to help run that clock. And the progression to landing a delicious off-edge ult required trial and error, including swallowing nothing and going into the corner to die, visibly embarrassed after dropping the ult, to sending a friendly off the map in the only possible way to team kill in the game, and also falling to my own death in the process, confirming a total of 0 kills, or 2, to getting to swallow a couple of enemies, heading to the edge, placing my trajectory, and then just having the capes fly back up and bash my gills in. The sooner you pop the ult, the sooner you can begin refilling your gauge for subsequent ults.
But being too hasty will get you busted open like a Viva Pinata.
When you have the opportunity to, and you're intent on finding the cliff for a send-off, understand what your route is before you pop the ult, and try and pick up some healing on the way to the edge, either in the form of your bubbles or health packs. Whether or not you're currently taking fire, who's inside of you, the amount of time on the clock, and the general situation are all aspects that will play a part in whether or not you try and line up a spit off the edge or just leave the map with a full stomach, the latter being my genuine recommendation for confirming the kills. If there's no nearby edge to run off, it's possible to fully digest enemies for the kill. But even if they're inside of you for the full duration, this damage is pretty insignificant. Alternatively, you can pull your passengers into your spawn point, which will just cease their existence entirely and decrease their morale substantially.
You can also suck enemies out of the air, like this next Scarlet at the top. And to ensure you can interrupt and clutch players that would otherwise be outside of your grasp, make sure you invest in Mystic Reach early, and remember to upgrade. Remember, this is up to the Tier 3 improved reach later on. But remember, this is a live service game, so certain character interactions are subject to change. What shouldn't change though is the high level of gratitude you have for your fellow players. Be good to your teammates. We're alive, just like you. It's safe in here. Welcome to qouLIVE. I'm Q. Thank you so much for sharing this video with me. Please subscribe, get notified, slide on by to the live stream on Twitch and YouTube. We play all types of games, so come through and let me know what you're trying to see. I would really appreciate having you there. Thank you again. I love you.